Welcome to the Abundance Hack Show, where we are inspiring you to tap into your power to manifest the happiness, success, and fulfillment that you desire. I am your host, Niajae, the Upper Limit Coach. I am here to dismantle your limiting beliefs and remove the blocks so you can confidently live your life's purpose, because life is meant to be abundant. Hey M&Ms, thank you for tuning into the Abundance Hack Show. What are you manifesting in your life today? I am super excited about today's episode. Today we are talking about conscious relationships. I think we live in a time where people are craving deeper connections, and I think that there are some people that just don't know how to achieve that. So what is a conscious relationship? A conscious relationship is a romantic relationship in which both partners feel committed to a sense of purpose, and that purpose is growth. Individual growth, collective growth as a couple, and growth that makes the world a better place. When two people come together with the intention of growth, the relationship strives towards something much greater than self-gratification. So this is really important to me because I think that there are relationships where people are like, I want you to make me happy. So there's a really popular quote that says, attachment is you make me happy, and love is I want you to be happy. So we're gonna dive into the different qualities of a conscious relationship. And I think the reality of what it is to me is two people that are self-aware, that are working towards being the best version of themselves. And rather than looking for someone to complete them, they're looking for someone to complement them. And the two partners hold space for the individual growth. And they want the other person to be the best version of themselves, and the other person wants them to be the best version of themselves. So let's dive into the 4 qualities of a conscious relationship. So number 1 is growth comes first. So as I stated, conscious relationships are two people that are committed to personal growth. And obviously, I'm a fan of this because I highly, highly encourage people to focus on personal growth. But one of the things about a conscious relationship is you are not necessarily attached to the outcome. I think we live in a time right now where a lot of people focus their lives and their goals on social norms, the American dream, go to college, get a degree, meet a partner, get married, start a family. And so you live your life according to those standards. But what if that is not the life you envision for yourself? What if that's not the relationship you envision for yourself? So the personal growth, in my opinion, is to strip away all of the layers of stuff that life has dumped on you, and now you are living your life according to someone else's standards, or what someone else thinks that you should want for your life, or someone else's opinion of what a relationship looks like. So just like I ask my guests, what does abundance mean to you? I think that this is a really great episode to ask yourself, what does love mean to me? What does love mean to you? So I think that there's so many different types of love. There's so many different types of relationships. And I think that a conscious relationship, two people are setting their own guidelines. They're setting their healthy boundaries and what works for them. And they're communicating their needs and their desires with each other. And they are committed to being the best version of themselves and holding space for their partner to be the best version of themselves. So number 2 is owning your shit. I love this one. I think a conscious relationship requires a lot of self-awareness. And self-awareness is something that comes with time, because a lot of times we blame everyone else and we point fingers and we allow different things to trigger different reactions in us without us taking a moment to focus on our patterns, our thought patterns, our habits, and our beliefs, because our beliefs shape our relationships, how we show up in a relationship, how we react to different things, the triggers that we are holding on to. And another thing, self-awareness, I think allows you to know the difference between someone causing you pain and someone triggering something that you still need to heal. So going into a conscious relationship, you have the awareness of your triggers, and so you are able to communicate that with your partner a little better. Are you using crystals to accelerate your manifestation? Every month, Abundance Box is sending you new authentic crystals, therapeutic grade essential oils, and more goodies to help you cleanse energy, raise your vibrations, and tap into abundance, along with affirmations and a supportive community. For more information, go to abundancehack.com/box. And remember, life is meant to be abundant. When you go into a relationship aware of your triggers, you are able to tell the difference between when someone is recklessly trying to cause you pain, or if it's something that you may be a little sensitive to that you are still working through in order to heal. So Marianne Williamson has an amazing book called Enchanted Love. I highly recommend the audiobook. And there's a piece that I want to read to you because I think it's really powerful. She says, can the purpose of relationships be to trigger our wounds? In a way, yes, because that is how healing happens. Darkness must be exposed before it can be transformed. The purpose of an intimate relationship is not that it be a place where you can hide from your weaknesses, but rather where we can safely let them go. It takes strength of character to truly delve into the mystery of an intimate relationship, because it takes the strength to endure the kind of psychic surgery and emotional and psychology and even spiritual initiation into the higher self. Only then can we know an enchantment that lasts. So powerful, so powerful. So I highly recommend Enchanted Love. And there was a piece where she said, relationships basically break our hearts open, and not break our hearts in a sense of, that painful heartbreak that people tend to associate, but they open up our hearts in order to let the love in. And when you open your heart, you are susceptible to pain, but that's the only way you can allow the love in. So when that happens, it brings everything to surface. It brings the insecurities, it brings the jealousies, it brings all of the triggers, all of the limiting beliefs and the negative pre-programming. It brings it to the surface, and that's the only way that you can actually heal it. So two conscious individuals understand that. So I think that understanding your triggers and being able to communicate with someone who also understands self-awareness and personal growth is really powerful, because you can say, this made me feel this way because, and the only way you can communicate that is if you're aware of your own stuff. So that's why I think just owning your shit is really powerful, being aware of it and then being able to communicate it, because rather than placing the blame, you did this, you can say, I felt this way when you did this, because it's a huge, huge, huge difference. Okay, number 3 is you hold space for each other's feelings. So this is really, really important. And I don't think that there are a lot of couples that really hold space for each other's feelings and radical honesty. When I say radical honesty, do you feel you can go to your partner with anything, whether they're going to like it or not, but feel safe to go to them and say, this is how I'm feeling, this is what I'm experiencing, this is what's going on. Radical honesty. I personally feel like we need a lot more of this. And let me just say, M&Ms, obviously I'm single, but I'm single because there is a certain type of relationship that I desire, that I crave. And when I researched everything about conscious relationships, I'm like, this is it. This is it. And I think that I come with a certain amount of depth or like deepness. I'm pretty intense. So people that are not ready for that, because they're not ready maybe to heal, they're not ready to own their own shit, they may be a little intimidated by that. But anyway, this is not about me. Let me get back to number 3. So radical honesty, communication, and holding a safe space. There's a lot of people that hide and suppress their desires because they don't feel comfortable talking to their partner about it. And unfortunately, that contributes to why people stray. Not saying it's okay, but it contributes to why people stray out of their relationships, because they can't go to their partner and say, hey, I really would love this, or this is how I'm feeling, or this bothered me, or even I really like this. People are not communicating with their partners, and a conscious relationship takes that communication. It requires communication. Okay, so number 4 is unconditional love. Now, this is a love that I don't think a lot of people understand, and sometimes I don't even know if certain people are capable of it unless they do a certain amount of personal growth or inner work. But unconditional love is wanting that person to be happy regardless if that involves you or not. It's a certain type of love because there's so much attachment, and I think people mix up attachment and love. And attachment is, I want you to make me happy. And love is, I want you to be happy. And so practicing wanting the other person to be happy, like just ridiculously happy and fulfilled, that is a whole nother level of love rather than it just being about me. Like, what can you do for me? Are you making me look good? Are you doing these things for me? Are you pleasing me? It's more of a selfless love. And if you are with the right partner, they're going to want you to be happy, so you're pouring into each other. You're pouring into each other. Like, just the thought of that is just like so beautiful to me. And I think that a lot of people don't actively practice that. They constantly focus on themselves and what that person can do for them rather than pouring into the other person and seeing, what can I do to make them happy? What can I do to put a smile on their face? So really ask yourself, if you're in a relationship right now or you're married, what can you do today to put a smile on your partner's face? All right, so those are 4 qualities of a conscious relationship. So how can you work towards a conscious relationship? So once you have the knowledge, now it's up to you to actually implement it. So what are some things that you can do to contribute to being in a conscious relationship? So I have 6 ways right now. And I'm sure there's plenty of ways, but, obviously I can't mention them all. So these are 6 that I think are really powerful. Number 1 is take responsibility for your own happiness. There was a big thing about Will Smith saying, I'm not responsible for Jada's happiness. That's up to her. And they went through a point in their marriage where they said, you go and find your happiness, I'm going to go and find my happiness, and then we're going to come back together and be happy and share our happiness together. When you put your happiness in the hands of someone else, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're basically going to be disappointed because another person can't make you happy. And even if they do something really nice and amazing, that's only instant gratification. The true happiness and true fulfillment comes from within. So you have to be aware of that. And I think another thing is really focusing on self-care. A lot of times we get in this giving mode where we're constantly pouring into other people. I think inner happiness comes from pouring into yourself and then using your overflow to give to others. So I'm a huge advocate for self-care. You guys know I say it all the time, you can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to take care of you first. So being responsible for your own happiness, not losing your identity in a relationship. There's a lot of times people get into relationships and they stop doing the things that they love, they stop hanging out with people they enjoy being around, and they mold to their partner. And, oh, my partner doesn't like to do this, so I'm not going to do it, and I'm only going to do things they like to do or things we like to do together. I think that is a recipe for disaster. You have to hold on to your identity, the things that make you happy. Space is actually healthy in a relationship. If you have a hobby, let's just say I like to do aerials. I can't expect my partner to go do aerials with me, so maybe they like to play golf. You go play golf, I'm going to go do aerials. These 2 things make us happy, and then we're going to come back together feeling freaking fantastic because we just did two things that we enjoy doing that brings us happiness, that fills our cup, and then we're going to come together and just revel in each other's overflow. Does that make sense, M&Ms? Let me know if I am making sense and if you feel me, because when I think about a healthy relationship, and you know what, let me just pause really quick and just say, I wasn't raised around, two parents and a healthy relationship. This is stuff that I've worked towards over the years. So if you're someone who may only have had a mom or may only have had a dad, or you had both parents but they constantly argued and bickered, and it's tainted your perception of relationships and what a healthy relationship looks like, there is always time to fix it. There's always time to work towards a conscious relationship. So you didn't have to just have it, because no one just has it automatically. You have to work towards it. It's a conscious effort every single day. So I think that also what a healthy relationship is going to vary from each person. Just like I asked, what does abundance mean to you? What does love mean to you? What does a relationship mean to you? Because what works for me may not work for the next person, and vice versa. So really setting your own healthy boundaries. And this is a great time to journal. What does a relationship look like to me? What's important to me in a relationship? What is not okay in a relationship? Because I think that actually writing that out is going to help you communicate that to your partner, so it's not a guessing game of, I don't know what she wants or what he wants. When you are aware of what you want, what sets your soul on fire, what's okay, what's not okay, then you can communicate it to your partner and work towards that conscious relationship. Okay, so number 2 is self-awareness. And I talk about self-awareness on this show all the time, but being aware in relationships. And there's a couple of episodes I have coming up that I'm super excited about, where we talk about masculine and feminine energy. And when I say masculine and feminine, it's not male or female, because we both genders have masculine and feminine energy. So really being aware of your energy, what you're bringing to the relationship, what that relationship brings out in you, because you can be around different people or be with different people that bring out different things in you. So that self-awareness, taking inventory of how you feel in certain situations, what makes you feel jealous, what makes you feel, extra loved, what makes you feel blissful. These are things that you want to take inventory of so you can work towards the feelings that are amazing, because that is the purpose, to enjoy life, to feel loved, to feel supported. And if you don't, how can you communicate that effectively to your partner? And the only way you can do that is if you are self-aware. Number 3 is learning your partner. So I love this one. I love this one so much. Okay. So I'm a huge, huge fan of the book, The 5 Love Languages. It's crucial that you understand your love language and you understand your partner's love language. So if you haven't read the book or taken the test, I highly recommend you do that. I actually did a whole episode on the 5 love languages, so definitely go check that out, because it is crucial to a relationship. The next one is adult attachment styles. This, I have to say, has been the biggest clarity for me in understanding relationships and how people's minds work, how my mind works, my attachment style, and how I am when I meet someone or when I date someone, or some of my patterns. I am the typical workaholic where I'm like, I can't get into a relationship because I have to focus on my business. And I believe I did an episode about attachment styles, but I have 2 episodes coming up where we really dive deep into attachment styles, because it is powerful when you understand it, and you can go into a situation with that knowledge to make sure you're working towards that healthy, conscious relationship. So really learning your partner, learning, what makes them tick, learning their desires, holding space for them to tell you both their desires and their triggers. It's important that you understand a person's triggers, because if you don't, you can keep pushing those buttons and not be aware of it. So it's really important that you talk about these types of things. And that is the beauty of a conscious relationship. They discuss these things. Rather than sweeping it under the rug, oh, I don't want them to know this about me, that's not a true partnership. So really working towards not just being like, girlfriend, boyfriend, I know that sounds silly, but really working towards a life partnership where you're choosing this person to do life with. So wouldn't you want them to know you and get you and understand you? And vice versa. So really learning your partner. Number 4 is healthy communication. This is so powerful. And I'll tell you, I was not a good communicator in the beginning. So communication is something you definitely have to work towards. And it took me years to be a good communicator, but I think generationally, we get passed down our parents' communication style, and you have to know if it's not healthy and if it's not productive and work towards improving it. So I think one of the things is accountability. So rather than placing blame on you did this, I'm right, you're wrong, I don't believe in right or wrong. There is no right or wrong. It's all perception, and you have to go into it and say, this is how I feel. And I'm not saying you have to do this, but these are just some tips. Take it or leave it. But I think going into a situation and saying, this is how I feel, rather than you did this, because perception is everything. Perception shapes our reality, and there's always different points of views and always different ways to look at things. So it's really important that you remove blame from the relationship and practice accountability. Okay, I'm aware that I did this. These are the things that I may have contributed to this situation, and this is how your actions made me feel. This is how I feel about this situation, rather than going into it, placing blame, saying someone's right or wrong, trying to be right. Trying to be right, again, is a recipe for disaster. So if you're going in trying to prove a point and you're trying to be right rather than coming to a mutual understanding, that isn't a conscious relationship. Trying to be right, trying to make the other one feel bad, you've already lost if you're trying to make your partner feel bad. So another thing is active trust and trusting your partner. And if you can't trust your partner, it's kind of like, why are you with them? So really executing trust and also forgiveness. People make mistakes, and I think that in the learning process, not everything that a person does will affect everyone the same way. So if a person unconsciously caused you pain or triggered you, they may not be aware. So practicing forgiveness. Now, if you communicated, this makes me feel this kind of way, and they continue to do it, that's a whole nother story. We don't have time to get into that. But if they unconsciously, if they're not aware that something triggered you or caused you pain, then practice forgiveness. Okay, number 5 is love deeply. I think, especially in a time of social media, we have so many surface relationships, and I think it's really important that we cultivate deeper connections and cultivate deeper romantic relationships. There's a whole nother layer of love. If you feel like you love deeply, I guarantee you there's a whole nother layer of love. And the more that I dive into, conscious relationships and tantra and all these different types of things, like embodying your masculine and your feminine, there's a whole nother layer. And I don't know about you, but that's exciting to me. I want to learn more so I can experience that soul-shaking love. I don't know about you, but I want to experience it. So love deeply and be open to being loved deeply. Sometimes people do not allow love. So really ask yourself, how much love do I allow in my life? Now, I talk about upper limit, especially in my framework, the 5 stages of leveling up. And stage 5 is upper limit, and it's the threshold of happiness and success that you allow in your life. But I think that's valid for love as well. If you have a pattern of unpleasant relationships, and then you have someone that just loves you deeply and fiercely, that may scare the shit out of you. And whether you are aware of it or not, you may do something to sabotage that relationship. And that's our upper limit. We have a threshold of how much bliss and love and pleasure we allow before we're like, oh no, I can't handle it. It's too much. It's too much. So really expanding that threshold of how much love you allow and also how much love you're willing to give. A lot of people have a cap, like, this is all I'm doing and that's it. But allow yourself, especially for the avoidant attachment style. I feel like a lot of people that are pushing away love and pushing away people, it's because they haven't worked through some stuff internally and they have to learn how to trust themselves. Like, if I get into this relationship, it could go great or it could go bad, but I trust myself enough to take that risk, and I know that I can handle whatever comes my way. So really practicing inner trust. And I have an episode about this, like, how can you have more inner trust? It's really, really powerful, because then you are more willing to open up your heart. You're more willing to love and be vulnerable. Like, relationships, especially conscious relationships, require vulnerability. And vulnerability is difficult for a lot of people. I have to honestly say, it was difficult for me for a really long time. So really being open to vulnerability and facing your emotions and your feelings, because they're teaching us something. But in order to do that, you have to trust yourself. Okay, so those are 6 ways you can work towards a conscious relationship. And I wanna close it out with this quote. Love ultimately is a practice of acceptance, being present, forgiveness, and stretching your heart into vulnerable territories. So I would love to hear your feedback on this episode. Do you consider yourself to be in a conscious relationship? Do you want a conscious relationship? Are you working towards a conscious relationship? Definitely email me your feedback at connect@abundancehack.com. I will have that in the show notes. M&Ms, I think we need more love. I think we need more love in our lives, and I feel like people are craving it. There's so many people that are suffering in silence. They're not happy. They don't feel loved. They don't feel supported. And they don't know how to express that, because we live in a time of social media where you have to put your best foot forward. So you want to appear like you're in love, you're having a great time, and like, my husband's the best, my boyfriend's the best, my girlfriend's the best. Like, that's how you want to appear. But when you go home, there's a void. There's an emptiness. And I think a lot of it is the self-awareness, not putting our happiness in the hands of someone else, and really doing our inner work and filling our own cup, but also working towards that healthy, just yummy, conscious relationship is going to fill all of those holes that we have internally that we're masking with all kind of things like gambling and drugs and alcohol and sex and like meaningless sex and, you know, just all of these things we're using to mask how we're really feeling inside. So really check in and ask yourself, what does love mean to me? What does a relationship mean to me? What do I need in a relationship to feel fully supported and loved and just connected to my partner? I hope you found value in this. I would love to hear from you again, so definitely email me. And until next time, love and light. Thank you for tuning in to the Abundance Hack Show. I would love to hear from you. Leave your comments and questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of our yummy episodes. Every time you leave a 5-star rating or review, I do my happy dance.